The question is, have you guys seen Rebel Moon? Because it's a film we wanted to be top tier. We wanted it to be bombastic, fantastic, explosive, and in some ways it was that. From the trailers, you'd think this is gonna be absolutely unbelievable. Our reactions were all over the place saying, oh my god, I can't believe I'm seeing this. Yeah. But the film turned out to be just okay.
Yeah, I will say the CGI was particularly good in this film. There were very few moments when I said maybe they should have put a bit more work into that. There were some really, really beautiful shots.
There were 1 or 2 scenes where I thought, nah, that's not good enough, Orlando Bloom style. But en masse, the special effects were shockingly well put together, considering the budget. 80 million to make this movie. That's what we'll say. Fact of the day, page number 74, fact number
1.
A coal-fired power station puts 100 times more radiation into the air than a nuclear power plant, producing the same amount of energy.
Wow, I would never have guessed that.
You know what? Nuclear energy, people don't like it because it can be considered unsafe, but it is very, very clean energy.
Yeah, clearly. Look at that.
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
wild.
It's just a fact. Nuclear, not the worst thing. You just need to make sure there is the safety protocols in place, and maybe it's the way to go. Hey, NarendraTheComic! Yes, and right now we're going to be doing a review of Rebel Moon, a movie, which we said is going to be one of our favourite movies of the year, and turned out to be just mid. It wasn't terrible, it wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't great.
The trailers set it up to be so legendary, so epic, and because of the runtime and the pacing choices, it felt like it fell short a bit.
I think the pacing was a little bit scattered, but I think they actively made that choice within the filmmaking process. They wanted it to feel like that.
Right.
I didn't love it because of the rate of which they were jumping from planet to planet. Either they should have spent more time on these individual planets, or they should have spent way less time.
With these scenes specifically with Nemesis and Prince Tariq, you really needed the R-rated. The way they shot it, it felt like it was empty in the end. The tension release wasn't there because they were cutting away, but then there was no blood. Sometimes you'd see body parts flying, but there was none of that oomph, right?
I think from the shot selection, it made it feel like it needed the R rating. But in reality, there wasn't enough there in the whole movie to probably warrant that. There were a handful of scenes which made it feel like this needs to be that. But for 80% of the movie, did it need to be R-rated?
No.
I don't think so. So maybe it was right giving this PG-13. I do feel the extended cut is going to be a better version, solely because there is going to be that extra little bit of, oh shit, this is absolutely decapitation.
Oh yeah.
Decapitation.
There was some decapitation in this. There were some great shots. I will say the fight scenes were very memorable.
It's always tough to make new sci-fi, even though this is very derivative from other previous sci-fi franchises. It's not easy to structure something like this. And I think they maybe chose to make the edit the way they did so that it built out the world even though it felt really overstuffed in certain ways.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, one thing I will say, all of the names in this film are very difficult to keep up with.
Yeah, they went with too many syllables in the names.
Sometimes for things like this, when it's totally new to the audience, you want to go for short names. 1 syllable, 2 syllables.
Luke, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Vader.
Yeah.
It's really simple stuff, actually.
Yeah. When you're throwing in these Belisariuses, then you have to really kind of peer in and think, wait, what was that one? Who are they talking about right now?
I think I can only remember probably half the name characters in this movie, which is not a good thing. The Scar-Giver at least is memorable.
Title.
The Life-Giver, these types of things stick with you and really do stay in your mind. But a lot of the others' names are completely forgettable, even if their faces are memorable.
The acting, pretty good across the board. I quite enjoyed it, and the music. The music really struck me. Built the scenes up and created that tension perfectly.
The actual dialogue was a little bit hit and miss, but the performances did enough to make it seem not so cheesy and corny in certain instances. Charlie Hunnam's character was a bit of a surprise for me. I didn't think he was gonna, spoiler alert, get got in the movie. I thought he was going to have that rebel turn where, oh, he's actually Han Solo. They didn't end up doing that.
No, he was just a betrayer.
Yes.
He's an opportunist,
that
so
was
to
it.
speak. He made it very clear, and people somehow didn't believe him.
I guess the main problem I had with the story was that it was so overtly see-through. And watching it, letting it go by and just pass through me, I thought, why? Why would you choose to make it that clear and obvious? Other than the Charlie Hunnam thing, nothing else really stood out to me as, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but then again, I think a lot of people like that these days.
But then the Charlie Hunnam thing was literally one of 2 options. Either he's gonna betray them, or he's not.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
I thought he was gonna not betray them in the end, but he ended up doing it.
Oh, I thought he was going to betray them.
Oh, right, so you didn't think he was gonna have a redemption arc? You
No.
didn't think he was gonna be Han Solo?
Through and through. He's a grifter. He's going to betray him.
But would you have thought that with Han Solo from the start? without watching the rest of the movie. Yes, you would have, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, so that means that they did do something different then.
So to some degree, he's like Han Solo and Lando Calrissian together.
Yes.
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 Bit more of a scumbag. This weird mix.
Believable. Very believable from Charlie Hunnam, I will say. Wasn't too fond of the accent.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know why he decides to do it. He's a good enough actor. He doesn't
He's
need
great.
to be throwing accents willy-nilly all over the place, but yeah. He wants to do it. I'm sure Zack Snyder's just like, are you sure?
All right, go on.
If you want, but like, you can do it without it. And he said, no, if I want to do this, I want to do it with this accent. Zack said, okay, if you think so, just be consistent. And he was relatively consistent with it. I just don't think it was necessary.
Yeah, I don't know how much it added to the character there. Something that's very difficult with sci-fi is providing the exposition for the world and the history. We had that narration from Anthony Hopkins at the beginning, which I really liked, but as the story moved on, we kept getting more exposition dumps from the main character herself and from others, and it really did ruin the flow.
And then in the end, it's like, oh, I get it to a degree. I don't think you were clear enough in dispensating that exposition.
But it is necessary because this is entirely new. There's only so much they can do through what's going on screen rather than what's being spoken on screen, right?
I did want more lightsabers though.
I did.
I thought he might go a bit heavier with that. I feel like he pulled back.
In the second film, we're going to get way more lightsabers.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think that in the initial idea, Scargiver was meant to be a Force user. And her mentor was also meant to be a Force user and a confidant of the King. But in the end, the confidant ends up screwing the King over. Scargiver's meant to be the apprentice, essentially, and the kid is meant to be Luke Skywalker.
Basically.
Or Anakin, whichever way you look at it. It is Anakin, he is supposed to be the savior.
That was pretty clear. I mean, the name is Life Giver. We saw that literal force being used.
Yes. 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 There were a lot of good things in this movie, but it didn't do enough in terms of the overall structure to make it really, really watchable. I think this isn't something which I can pop on each and every year, like the Star Wars original trilogy, or even the prequel trilogy. This kind of felt like a mix between the prequels, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy, all in one, from the way he decided to shoot it, from the style, from the story. It felt very all in one.
It was an amalgam. I do see that. I do. And I agree with you. I don't think this is the one to pop on casually.
No.
Like those. But maybe with the second film, we'll change our minds.
I want the second one to be great. Please be even better than the first one. And I hope we come back with a review and we say, wow, they really landed this ship well. Also, with the extended cut, the R-rated cut, if that's better, then why didn't you just put that out to start with as well? Yeah. Because in the end, you only get one shot at making a first impression. And a lot of people are going to say, I'm not going to watch the extended cut because I just spent 2 hours watching this. Even though I do believe it would make sense that the extended cut for this movie would be better than the original. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, a moon gonna come after you. Big, fat, cheesy moon. You don't want that. Do they want that? No, they don't want that. You have to remember, Thanos threw a moon at Iron Man, all right? The moon is relative. The moon is a very dangerous thing.
Dangerous.
When it gets thrown at you.
Yeah, indeed.
You don't want that happening. So just subscribe anyway. Now, I've been NarendraTheComic.
I've been NonSensei.
She's been NonSensei. You've been great. We'll see you next time. That's tomorrow if you don't know, make a video every single day. Been doing it every day for over 2,000 days now, and we aren't stopping till we get to 10,000 subscribers. So do subscribe. Pop back again tomorrow for some more quality shitty content. So hashtag never not here. Just that goes. Also bring the Pukwas means nonsense in Punjabi. We'll also bring a lot, bring a little, do a lot, do a little, boy, do indeed bring the quality shitty content on a daily basis. So see you tomorrow for more of the same, slightly different, but essentially the very same. Once more, see you then. Skadoosh.
I got you! I got you! Take that, you friggin' psycho! I got you!